Welcome back to YellowCard Vanguard. I'm your host, Toku from It's Toku TV on Twitch. Throughout the week, I'm streaming Vanguard on my Twitch channel. We'll be building decks, playtesting, and just having a grand old time, so be sure to swing on by. With new clan collection reveals coming out every day, you know what that means. It's time for a new chapter of clan collection cores. I want to preface this video and the entirety of the series by saying that many of these lists are entirely conceptual and surface deep, and will need your own playtesting to fine-tune. But each of these will aim to provide a way of thinking on how to take your new support in Clan Collection 3 and 4 and put it into a working deck. They won't all be optimized, but I believe they will be a good baseline to build off of. Welcome to Clan Collection Cores. The strong do not need the weak. And wow, Ethics Buster Reverse really took that to heart. Beast Deities gets a pretty nice set of support in this clan collection, whether or not you think that Ethics Buster is alright. The question now comes whether or not EBR can overtake Blouse as the lead contender to rep Nova Grapplers in the V Premium format. Let's take a look at the deadliest Beast Deity, Ethics Buster Reverse. 3 effects to take note of here, all Vanguard focused to reflect the selfishness of EBR. 1. When your rearguard attacks, if EBR is standing, lock that rearguard. 2. When EBR attacks, he gains 5k for the turn. Then, at the end of the battle, you can discard 1 to unlock 3 cards and retire them. If 3 were retired, stand EBR. Finally, when EBR attacks hit, you can Soul Blast 1 original Ethics Buster and EBR gains a drive. I'll be the first to say it. I actually think EBR is quite decent. Compared to a lot of restanding Vanguards we've seen in the V Premium format, EBR actually stays as himself, which means that the crits and the powers from triggers lingers throughout the turn and scales more the more that we attack. There's also no counterblast or soul blast cost associated with it, so regardless what state of the game we are in, it'll always be live. Now, obviously he's not all positives, otherwise the majority would agree with me in believing in him. You are offering up a lot of resources for a one-shot Alpha Strike, and it leaves you very fragile if it doesn't work out. Most of your shield values are in your triggers, and if you're unable to find them as you go through your multiple drive checks, death is pretty imminent. That being said, I think evaluation of EBR should be assessed after having tried him out at the very least. The new grade 2 we get is Beast Deity Brainy Papio. If Return to Monkey wasn't obvious enough in EBR, this baboon-themed Beast Deity sure solidifies that idea. When discarded during your turn, you can call it to rear as rested. Then, on the Vanguard or the Rearguard circle, when your Beast Deity Vanguard hits, you can Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, and draw 1. Then call up to 1 grade 2 or less Beast Deity from your hand. This turn, that called unit gains 10k, and at the end of the turn returns to your hand. Brainy Papio is fantastic. With respect to the various discard cost and hand outlets in Beast Deity, between EBR and the original Ethics Buster, Brainy Papio is able to nullify the neg from said discard effects. Not only that, the first effect plays fantastically into the second. Once on the board after being discarded, can act as permanent on-hit pressure. Now unfortunately, the timing isn't fantastic between Ethic Buster's Break Ride should it hit. We won't have the proper timing to get the on-hit effect. That being said, as stated before, it is permanently on the board, saved for removal control matchups, and with our finishers being very counterblast-like, we'll hopefully always be able to draw for cards and get some extra attacks out. Finally, our new grade 1 is Beast Deity Max Beat. When placed on the Vanguard or the Rearguard circle, we can check the top 3 of our deck for a grade 2 or greater Beast Deity and add it to our hand and stack the rest on the bottom. Then, if we added a card and Max Beat was on our Rearguard circle, we can rest it. Such a very simple but also a very strong card for the Beast Deity archetype. One of its strongest effects being the fact that it rests itself. This is relevant because it's one extra rested unit to stand alongside EBR should it hit through the use of Scarlet Bird. With the new cards introduced, let's take a look at what our EBR wincon is. As stated before, this is very much gather your resources for one big attempt at a blowout. The general idea is to break ride EBR over Ethics Buster for the on-ride attack. On this swing, finding a critical trigger is often back-breaking for your opponent. Regardless if it hits or not, our EBR will always be 2 drive because its on-hit skill can neutralize Ethic Buster's -1 drive effect. We want to get 4 scaling up attacks as EBR, the first from the break ride, and we can get 3 more attacks by offering up 6 bodies to EBR. 4 of those being 4 front row units from the 2 Axel circles, and the other 2 will be black tortoises activated in the back row. In our final circle behind our Vanguard, we're going to be using Drill the Duel to give EBR a battle door effect for the entire turn as it goes through 3 more attacks. Going into our list now, we're going to be running 4 copies of Ethics Buster as our first ride, and 4 copies of Ethics Buster Reverse as our finisher ride. Because we specifically need Black Tortoise as it's the best back row attacker we have, we will also play 4 copies. Because we need ways to restand Ethics Buster Reverse when it does hit on the break ride, we will also run full playsets of Beast Deity Scarlet Bird and Beast Deity Lift Tauros. Both grade 1 units that, when placed during the main phase, can stand units, namely our Vanguard. Also of note is that because we are running Scarlet Bird, White Tiger is a mandatory starter. Because of how crucial it is for us to find Scarlet Birds and Lift Tauros, I've also opted to run 4 copies of Beast Deity Typhoon Bird, a way to hopefully find either of our restanders during the main phase. We also run 4 copies of Brainy Papio because it's just a fantastic card in this archetype. As stated before, we have many discard costs between our 2 different Ethics Buster, so Brainy Papio acts as a buffer on that cost, and provides a very scary on hit, especially on our last Ethics Buster Reverse attack, if they're still unlocked to give us some more extension. Finally, as a consistency booster to find our Beast Deity grade 2s and 3s, we're running 4 copies of Max Beat. Itself being able to become rested just to give us that extra rested unit for Scarlet Bird to then draw us a card as well. Our last card, as hinted before, is Drill the Duel, just to give our final turn some extra firepower. Boosting EBR once will grant us that battle door effect for the turn. Obviously, it's a bit hard to find that 1 copy, but its inclusion just bumps the deck ceiling that much. Finally, our trigger lineup is an aggressive 12 crit and 4 healed Guardians. The 12 crits makes our EBR a threat, as we don't have access to Force 2 for that base 2 crit. But, as stated before, the earlier we find the crits, the more threatening EBR is throughout each attack. So, we opt to play as much as we can without entering meme territory. Now, for other options to run in this deck if my based list isn't to your appeal. Obviously, we can go full monkey. Screw heal triggers and go full on 16 criticals. We don't need to heal against a dead opponent. But, on a more realistic note, we can look at an age-old strategy with Beast Deities, and that is Shout spamming. Shout being able to dig us deep into our deck, and hopefully between Shouts and Scarlet Birds and some good RNG, we could overpower our opponent's hand just with how much plusing we have. The inclusion of Heal Guardians now being grade 3 as well just makes Shout that much easier to hit. We can look towards Boomerang Thrower as a source of resource management as well, just a staple card in a lot of Nova Grappler decks to get that emergency counterblast, emergency soul blast that you need. I can always appreciate Pound as an auxiliary rearguard to buff our EBR, 10k for the entire turn, and with the more attacks we get, the more that extra 10k scales. I've already thrown my opinion out that I think EBR is at least decent to good, because of how robust of an engine and how much advantage you can get out of the early to mid game that Beast Deities have. I'm not sure how it fares side to side to Blouse as a representative of the V Premium Nova Grapplers, whereas Blouse play very wide with their strong multi-attacks, EBR is incredibly vertical and at least offers the clan that option. In any case, this has been it from me on this episode of Clan Collection Cores. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for more content like this and like the video as it helps motivate us to keep the gears going. Leave a comment down below as every little bit helps the channel. This has been Toku from YellowCard Vanguard channel. Toku out.